Joining us again for this discussion of the short-term solutions, Professor Kent Morse, oil policy expert from Duquesne University. So, Professor, what has to happen from a geopolitical point of view for gas prices to go down over the short haul?
We are less able to control from the United States what occurs geopolitically in oil than we used to. Despite the fact that we're less than 5% of the population and we use more than 25% of the energy in the world, we no longer call the shots. What we need, number one, is a concerted, long-term national energy policy. That policy emanating from Washington must recognize that in addition to alternative energy, we need to identify short-term, stable, affordable prices of oil. If necessary, we enter into international agreements on the basis of that. We could have done this 3 years ago with the Russians. The administration in Washington decided that that was not appropriate. We don't have these luxuries to play politics any longer. National security issues with regard to oil do not simply mean defending our borders. It's also defending our way of life, and as far as most Americans are concerned, we're already in a national security crisis.
We've talked about the possible short-term relief from Washington and from oil-producing countries around the world, but what can we as consumers do to minimize the bite of high gas prices on our lives? Joining us now is Dr. Audrey Guskey, consumer expert from Duquesne University, to talk about that issue. Dr. Guskey, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Dave.
I'll pose the same question I have to the others, and Dan Besnard's earlier. Will we have to change our American lifestyle to relieve some of this pain at the pump?
We absolutely have to, and we have been, in a sense, driven to do that. Unfortunately, because the cost of gas has gone up so substantially, so significantly, and so quickly, consumers have been forced to change their habits, their consumption habits. And in a way, I'm an optimist, and so this is a positive thing, because if you look at it, we're driving less, we're spending less. So as a result, we're saving money, we're being healthier, we're being fitter, it's being better for the environment overall. So I think it's a good thing. We've been in America on the go, and we've literally run out of gas. And so what do? We have to totally change all of our lifestyle habits. And we have been gluttons. I was shocked when the poll said that only 7% of the people are blaming ourselves. In reality, we have been, in a sense, using too much gas overall. And by cutting back and having simpler lifestyles and being minimalists, less a lot of times is more. And that's what we're finding is happening.
All right, let's take another question over from Darius now. Darius?
And this question for Dr. Guskey from Jack Shea. Jack?
Yes, you know, it's a very simple question. As the barrel of oil was going up in price overnight, our price at the pumps were going up. In the last 3 weeks or so, the cost of a barrel of oil has been down around 20% or a little bit more. But I don't see any reduction or very little reduction at the pumps, maybe a few pennies. Why?
Well,
if it goes up, why don't it come down?
Sure. My understanding is it goes up much faster at the pumps, and going down is very difficult for people to do. Keep in mind, a lot of times, too, we're blaming the retailers, and that's not necessarily the case, because what we found is it's the gas prices are high, and they're going to continue to stay high and just trickle down very slowly.
Let's go to another question from Darius.
And I'm joined with Asa Watton. Asa, your question.
Hi, I work for Steel City Biofuels, which is an advocate for sustainable local fuels, biodiesel in particular. And we already have sustainable, locally produced biodiesel in Pittsburgh right now. There's a lot of confusion out there about whether or not biofuels are good for the environment, good for climate change, and compete with food. Some do and some do not, depending on how they are produced. How can we ensure at the pump that the biodiesel and ethanol that we purchase is both good for the environment and on food prices?
And I'll let anyone take that who wants to jump.
There is a significant balance problem here in terms of biofuels, for example, contributing to our need for transport while at the same time detracting from other areas such as food. Recall, the single biggest problem we're going to be experiencing moving forward is the problem of redesigning our energy infrastructure. Scalability is decisive here. Things look very good in local neighborhoods. They break down if you try to move it forward. Make no mistake about this. This movement, this transition in energy, will be the most expensive, the most demanding, and the most wrenching experience that Americans have ever had as a nation. We really don't have any clue where we're going on this, and we're running out of time. We have no options.
Let's go back to Darius.
Well, certainly one way of dealing with high gas prices is to make use of mass transit. That is, if that is an option available to you. Time now for another one of our WPXI.com Pain at the Pump web poll questions. We asked you to express your feelings about using mass transit. And here's what we found. 13% of you who responded to the poll said you already use mass transit. 7% of you said that rising gas prices have made you consider using mass transit. 52% of you said you might consider making use of mass transit if it was more convenient. And 28% of our poll respondents said they would not consider using mass transit regardless of the circumstances. So mass transit in Pittsburgh is likely to become an increasingly hot topic as high gas prices at the pump force people to consider abandoning their automobiles. Andy Gassmeyer joins us again from a local gas station where he's been talking with people who are considering mass transit.
For Elena Strauss, that's good news on at least one count. Because she is a student at Pitt, public transit is included in tuition. So she rides whenever she wants without having to pay the fare.
I start off, I drive my own car to Monroeville Mall where there's a park and ride.
But oh, what she goes through to get from her home in Murraysville to her classes in Oakland, and from there to an internship program at the Children's Museum on the north side. 2 hours each way, and the need for more buses, most often cited. Burdened with heavy benefit costs, health care in particular, the transit system is at a crossroads, under pressure to cut costs in order to get county funding to first maintain service before it can work on expanding it.
There's an economic reality to this, which is that things aren't working well.
Except, of course,
and probably about another 20-minute or half-hour pad of wind.
For the few who have found a way to beat the energy crisis.
Well, now, even these short-term solutions we've been discussing don't help those of you who are really feeling the pain of high prices at the pump. So we wanted to wrap up the show tonight with some ways all of us can reduce our pain at the pump at least a little bit. We've asked Dr. Gusky to come up with a list of 5 consumer gas tips, ways all of us can save a little extra money from our weekly gasoline budget. Dr. Gusky.
First tip, of course, is go back to basics. Go back to nature. In a sense, bike, hike, walk. I mean, it makes a lot of sense because, you know, bring your lunch to work with you, shop less. Second tip, you want to plan ahead. You want to, when you're doing errands, multitask. You want to make sure that you have your cleaning in the car. You've got all of your different items, your credit card, your coupons if you're going grocery shopping. Third tip, you basically want to give the keys a rest. As I said, we've been America on the go. Let's stay home more. Let's watch TV. Let's drink coffee at home. Let's entertain at home. Let's have a lot of fun at home. Once again, going back almost to the 60s and the American family in those days. Maintenance matters. You want to make sure your car is tip-top shape. You want to make sure that the tires are inflated. You want to make sure that the air filter is clean. You also want to just make sure that everything is operating very well in the car. And then finally, you want to drive smart and drive safe. When you're driving smart, you're going to be driving safe. So you want to drive slower. You want to not tailgate. You definitely don't want to get lost. Use your GPS. And basically, if you're a smart driver and a safe driver, you're going to save money in the long run, and it's going to be positive for everyone. Less pain at the gas pump.
All right. Dr. Gusky, thank you very much. Our experts and our audience, thank you all for being here. There's no doubt that high gas prices are causing pain at the pump for everyone. Tonight, we've looked at the problem in depth.
And hopefully, we will begin to move forward and towards some of the solutions we've discussed tonight. The issue of high gas prices is one that affects all of us and shows no sign of just going away on its own.
But perhaps through discussion of the issue like we've heard tonight, we can begin to grapple with this issue and ultimately make informed, enlightened decisions about our future. I'm David Johnson.
And I'm Darieth Chisholm. Good night.